Welcome to Tuck Your Shirt In. We're diving into the most ridiculous, hilarious, and downright embarrassing stories from your years in education.
We'll even hear from the unfortunate teachers that had to put up with it.
This is the Tuck Your Shirt In podcast with John and Luke Hassan and our producer / resident ex-teacher, Scott Burrows.
All right, first introduction done. Didn't feel forced at all.
Wasn't awkward.
I think it was good. I think, John, you need to really pull up the back end there.
Yeah.
But we'll come to that. We'll work
I was trying to make it sound natural, but might have been a bit too casual. That might have been the problem.
Yeah. As I think as the comedian of us, I was expecting more, if I'm honest.
I want full blown over the top. Well, you could be the Jack D of the comedy world, the new Jack D.
Wouldn't that be more deadpan than that? Though?
Yeah.
Rather than more animated.
You've got no animation. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Your point.
I think it's Jack E.
Yeah, Jack E.
There you go.
That's a good stage. Right?
No one really laughed at that.
No, more of a McIntyre type. I think it's my.
Go over the top.
I'll be happy to be your brother. That's fine. He's got lots of money.
Yeah, no, it's not for me.
So, let's dive into how our week's been. We've got a structure here. We'll try and stick to it because we believe it's going to make it the most funny podcast you're going to listen to in the next 5 minutes at least.
before everyone's clicked off and decided that this isn't for them. Yeah,
this isn't for them.
Yeah.
I think we've got a good target audience here. Everyone's been to school, hopefully, or has been a teacher, because that's pretty much all I meet. People who are previous teachers.
You know, missing out that third world country sort of demographic, aren't we? Really? Yeah.
Hey,
it's a bit harsh, but
not really. I look to the future. You got to look at the future builders, the future society. I don't know where I went with that.
Builders?
The building of society, not actual builders. Like society builders.
Saying builders didn't go to school. But also, I very much felt like that.
We do need builders, so. Okay, just move on. Move past that. So how's your week been? John?
Yeah, it's been all right. Yeah, I got back from holiday on Monday. So, yeah, went to Italy. It was very nice.
What did you get up to?
We went to Milan for a couple of days and saw the sights. And then we went to Venice and they had the carnival on there. So everyone was dressed up in like mental costumes and stuff. But mostly
masks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some weird. What's happening behind you? It looks like some sort of steam coming off. Like,
I was just pouring myself a coffee.
Okay, I can just see steam coming out the background.
Yeah, it's just steaming hot coffee.
You're going to describe that to our listeners, so to make sure that they can.
For the audio listeners, yeah, steam's coming out behind Luke, but it's just a scalding hot cup of coffee. Yeah, and then when I landed back on Monday, though, I had to go straight to London for a gig, which was all right, but I was absolutely exhausted, so I can't really remember it, to be honest. But
because you were so bladdered.
Yeah, I was,
he is a pisshead.
As soon as I got on the flight, I was have to drink to get through it.
How was the gig? You haven't actually told me much about it.
It was all right. Yeah, it was. Is that new act competition? Everyone was really good. To be fair, it was a high caliber sort of level of performer, but didn't get through. Never mind.
It's not into your type of comedy, I guess.
I don't like the Northerners. You know, the non.
Where were most of them from?
Pretty much everyone was from London that did it.
Fair enough.
It's been like that. It was like that in the first round of.
That's good though. It's good to go down to London and.
It's still fun.
It's a good experience.
Met some people as well, and they gave us some nice feedback. But I think I wasn't on top form because I was quite tired. But
might have added to the. Did you do the sort of I'm tired performer?
Yeah. I did loads on the. There's the fact there's more canals in Birmingham than Venice, and they weren't liking that, to be honest.
They didn't. That's a good one, actually. That's pretty good.
I like that one.
I did none of that. I did none of that.
All right. What's going on with you then, Scott?
Had a bit of an incident this morning playing squash. Ended up going to a leisure centre that had like you've got to be a member to use the facilities, but wanted to go out for breakfast.
What, the showers?
Yeah, so wanted to go out for breakfast this morning afterwards. So waited for someone to open the door. Like snuck in behind them, like, oh, you're right, mate, how's it going, sort of thing. And then, showered, everything was fine. Thought, oh, yeah, absolutely nailed this. Turns out you also need a code to get out. So kind of just waiting in there for like half an hour. Laura's messaging me like, where are you? And yeah, just kind of stuck in the changing
rooms.
Yeah, just stuck in the changing room for half an hour.
You were lurking in the changing room.
Yeah. Looked like a right weirdo. Like, didn't know what to do with myself. There was like a code thing you needed to on the door to actually get out. So yeah, Laura asked for the code in the end and sent it through. But I couldn't believe that.
Were you trying to look like you were doing something so you didn't look weird? Or?
I kind of just sat on the bench on my phone in the end, just waiting for someone to open the door.
That feels weirder. If I came across someone just sat in the bench,
there was no one there. There was no one there apart from the guy who like first let me in. But he literally grabbed stuff like out of his locker and was gone. It was a bad experience.
You could have asked people if they need a hand or something.
There was no one around.
What about people?
Literally, it was just me and the one guy let me in.
Who are going to the place? Is it like the people attending the gym?
That's what Laura did in the end. I don't think she
was no one else there.
Was locked in. There was literally just like us, one person on reception, and then the one guy who came into the room, and that was it.
Are you sure this is a gym?
Yeah, 100%. It's like a leisure centre, and it was carnage. But I suppose it was like 8 a.m. when we went, so like that was our slot. We didn't finish playing squash until like 8:40. But yeah, I was just locked in a changing room for half an hour, just kind of twiddling my thumbs, texting Laura, going, "I don't know what to do. I physically can't get out of this room. It's horrible."
Well, you could have had some. Yeah, I guess you got like some contemplation time. To really
it was
think about
panic
the week.
time, to be honest. I was looking at all the windows, wondering if I could sneak out of anything, but there was nothing. It was pretty shocking, really.
All right, fair enough.
How about your week then, Luke? How was yours?
I started back at the gym this week for the first time in the year.
Nice.
You know, as a new dad, you only have so many bees you can get in your belly before your kid actually says he thinks there's a baby in the belly. So that's a shame. So I started back at my Pilates class, which I very much enjoyed. Why are you laughing?
This is a strange choice to go
Pilates. I can't imagine you doing Pilates.
Yeah.
When I got to the desk, I like to introduce myself. Go, I'm Luke. I'm here for my Pilates class. I think I took the woman back a bit. I think she's like, "Oh, right, okay."
With you both the only man and the youngest person there by about 30 years.
I said, "What do I do?" She did say, "I'll just follow those two women there, also heading to the session." But I forgot my yoga mat.
Oh no, I hate when that happens.
Yeah. I've done that countless times every week.
So I went up and asked the other man who was there. So that was nice. He was a nice
only
guy.
other man that was there.
Yeah.
Was there anyone younger than you there?
No. Oh no, there was. I reckon there was. But I've got quite a young complexion for the audio listeners. And also I had a bathroom accident as well this week.
Oh God.
Luke, when are you going to go see someone about shitting yourself? Like you've got to.
Well, I sometimes if I'm distracted or I've got my phone or something, I went to sit on the toilet and then have a nice enjoyable time. Because like sometimes you just want to relax in there, don't you? You want to let the woes of the day.
Take your time. Yeah.
Take your time. So sat on the toilet, but I don't think I'd corrected for hose evacuation. And it ended up just I ended up just pissing all over the floor.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, and then once it's happening, there's not much you can really do because it's just
you can redirect it.
No, it was the location, how it was sat, and
what were you doing?
I just sort of slipped. I slipped off the toilet a little bit.
I'm pretty sure he was just like on the side of the bath at this point. Like, I was sat on the sink.
The worst thing is that's not the first time it's happened as well, which is
that's insane. That is
I don't think that's ever happened to me.
no, like literally never.
No, it's the toilet seat's a bit slanted as well, so it threw me off a little bit.
So do you just sit down and just not even do anything? You just hope for the best?
No, not usually. No, the toilet. Also, since we moved house, we've got a toilet, and I don't know.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, the old house is a
The old house. Oh, so difficult to go.
I don't know what it is about the toilet, but it's definitely not a large toilet, but it's not quite small either. So I guess that is a medium toilet. But there's something about it. It's not quite right when you sit on it. It's not. You just can't. Your bum can't really get a justifiable stance of what you're sitting on, and that leads to these accidents.
I mean, does Kath have the same issues, or is it just like?
I wouldn't. She hasn't said, but then again, I haven't said apart from on the podcast. So
I feel like we need to raise this for next week's episode just to see if
I'll get some
update.
feedback. Update.
I need an update. I need to know what's happening. Maybe me and John come over and we do like a little bit of a trial.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like the blood splatter, like Dexter.
Oh God, no!
Pea splatter. I thought that's what you were doing.
The whole room would just be like
a forensics.
where,
black light on it.
The black light just
going on.
Yeah. The whole room is just white.
Again, get the
yellow.
Get the disinfectant spray out. Spray the floor. Right, ready. It's all ready now. It's clean.
Oh.
Yeah, not great situation. But these things happen in life. They're made to test us. And I'm sure the listeners at home have had similar situations.
Please comment in to Tuck Your Shirt In podcast at gmail.com.
Is that our email?
You should double check that.
That is definitely the email.
It's TUCKYOURSHIRTINPOD.
TUCKYOURSHIRTINPOD
at gmail.com. Yeah, let us know if you've slipped on the toilet. And if you've had a similar situation to me where you've got a toilet that you can't quite work out if it's a small toilet or a large toilet, please let me know.
Those responses next week.
All right. Well, as we said, at the start of the podcast, we like to dive into some of the stories from our early years and later years in education. But I think when we were talking beforehand about what stories we want to first go through on this podcast, I think the story unfortunately about our producer Scott, I think that needs to be first. I don't know who wants to dive in. Do you want to dive in, John?
I can start it off, I guess, in the sense that Scott didn't know it was happening initially when it first happened.
I think it's important to before we kind of dive into the story, just to get some background on the fact that John is an absolutely terrible human being and basically ruined my life through the whole of my youth, essentially. Somehow best friends since we were like 3 weeks old, and yet here we are doing a podcast together, basically just reliving. I think there's going to be a story about me every week on this podcast.
For a little while.
How John has ruined my life, essentially. But I'd leave it to John just to go over.
I think that's fair. I think I probably created a lot of trauma for Scott, and for some reason he continued to be my friend. Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. Just no self-worth at all. I think you've just stripped me of anything like that.
But when we were in sixth form,
how old are you then? 16, 17?
Was it when I don't know if it was first or second year.
It was first year. I remember it well.
16.
Yeah, we were in 16.
Scott may or may not agree with, he occasionally elaborated on embellished certain stories himself, and did strange things that he denies, such as eating a butter burger. Luke witnessed it as well. But he denies it.
He's erased it from his memory. We'll come back to that.
Just never happened.
He once claimed that he he eats raw chicken all the time as well.
Again,
in a
taken
conversation.
completely out of context. Never happened.
Yeah. He enjoys boiled bacon as well, as opposed to...
Again, never happened.
No, yeah. But anyway, when we were in sixth form, the Ashes were on, and Scott's a big cricket fan. He always has been. And it was in Australia, so they were playing late at night, and he kept coming in late just for this 1 week while it was on. And we mentioned it as a joke. I'm not sure who even mentioned it. I don't want to give people's names out, I guess, who aren't on it. But teacher asked where Scott had been, and don't know why we decided to lie and say that it started working in a factory on nights. Scott obviously wasn't aware of this. And the teachers obviously took that as some sort of safeguarding issue.
I forgot what the story was, actually.
Yeah. And then I guess, Scott, maybe you're best telling the next bit as to what happened when you did arrive at the school, if you want to take it from there.
So I arrived into school on, I think it was a Wednesday morning. I was late again. I just watched. It was I got in around about 9:10, so I was like 5 minutes late after form time for my first lesson. Arrived into school, sat down in business studies, and during business studies lesson, there was kind of just a knock on the door, and our head of sixth form, Mrs. Nibbs at the time, pulled us. It was like, oh, Scott, can I have a quiet word? And automatically, just like to point out, this woman is scary. Like, this is a teacher that you do not mess with. I think John and Luke can both.
I think she's lovely, firm but fair.
Firm but fair. It's probably a good way of putting it. But yeah, she was always great for me. But yeah, pulled me into her office.
Time she humiliated you in front of a room.
I mean, I'm sure we'll come back to that. So went into her office, and in her office was the attendance officer, and also I can't remember if it was our head of year or like head of house or whatever it was, and kind of sat down like, Scott, we've heard some things. Is everything okay at home? I was a bit taken aback, like, yeah, I think so. I don't think my mum and dad are splitting up or anything like that. Do you know something that I don't know? Are you going to break that horrible news to me? And we're like, well, we've heard you working in a factory.
I'm going like
completely taken aback. No idea what they're talking about. They just start rambling on about how education's important and they can help me through any situation. There are things they can do to support home and to make sure that I'm not having to work these late, long hours at night. And I was like, it's important. A lot of 16-year-olds get jobs and they start working, but we've got to make sure that your education comes first. And that you're okay to still be coming into school even if you're tired. I was just completely taken aback. I had no idea about what was going on. And I was just like, I don't work in a factory. I have no idea what's going on. I've been watching the cricket at home.
Did they think you were lying at that point? Like,
I think so. Well, I didn't realise this. I was talking.
He's making it up. He's talking about the cricket.
I was talking
Scott, nobody watches cricket.
I was talking to my dad about it last week, and he said he remembered getting a call from the school to make sure that I was actually turning up to school on time. And he was like, "Oh yeah, he's been watching the cricket," because obviously my dad was retired at the time.
On it as well.
So I didn't realise that my dad had even got a call. But yeah, made sure I was in like on time. But I had no idea, and it wasn't until kind of I came back into the common room, because this meeting, I think I missed the whole of the first period for this meeting, like with everyone had so many questions asked, and yeah, eventually got to the point where I kind of walked back into the common room. Everyone had come into break time, and like John and all of my mates were like, "You're right." I was like, "I have no idea what just happened," and explained the scenario, and everyone just burst into laughter. And we're like, "Oh my god, so sorry, that was us."
I think it was funnier because we'd probably forgotten. We'd probably just said it as like a little joke. Yeah. And then when it come out and said it at the meeting, it was just.
It was honestly the most bizarre situation I think I've ever been in. But somehow, we'll probably discover on the podcast, that is not the only thing that I've had to deal with because of John telling these random facts and stories about them. So
my ears are ringing from I don't know what from listening to that story.
It comes up every time.
Every time we get together.
Yeah.
It comes up.
Good school. Taking one comment and actually acting on it. That's
that
good.
Is what you want from a safeguarding perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
That is, yeah. I feel like they should have possibly rang my parents first just to make sure that I wasn't working in a factory instead of just randomly pulling me into a meeting.
You might have been keeping it a secret.
They pulled me in that morning, like straight away. Go get Scott Burrows.
Not bad.
We need to make sure that he's okay.
With everything else that he's been up to.
with all everything that John and Sandy's saying about us, and John would know they are best friends.
They ride together all the time. Oh God, I'm going to pass out. I nearly passed out then. That was horrible. Oh, thank you, Scott. That was really nice bringing that story to us. Even though I said I think we should do it. So sorry, it's just reliving trauma. This podcast, isn't it?
Essentially, for me, I think so. I think for most people, it'll be a wonderful experience, but for me, it's going to take me back through some things.
Yeah, it's reliving trauma in a really insensitive way. That's what the podcast is.
That's what school is, though, isn't it? It's just it shapes you through trauma. I think.
Not bad. That's really.
That wasn't meant to be so. Yeah,
that was deep.
Very nice.
It wasn't meant to be.
Well, nicely rounded off. Yeah. Right. Shall we? Now we had got some people to email in ahead of our first recording session. Now, it took a while to add Scott to the email account. It's just very difficult to do these things. And I did accidentally click on one of them. So I don't know which one you'll be reading today, but I only saw the two words, invisible penis. So I can only imagine. Actually, I can't imagine what that's about, actually. So I'm sure you're going to bring us one.
I'm not going to lie. I don't remember one with the words invisible penis.
Maybe I've made it up.
So maybe
this is my email.
Maybe Luke's just made something up in his head. But no, we're going to hear from a friend of mine actually this week, Hannah, who has kind of written into us.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you very much, Hannah. You're our first email. I think we read it out.
Give a round of applause usually, but we'll skip it this time. But so Hannah was a Key Stage 2 teacher in the UK, and she was serving her final year before she left teaching and moved to the US. They'd had a gnarly year, she says, peppered with lockdowns and coloured by the stress of Key Stage 2 SATs. They finished the year with a heat wave, which had them sitting inside with all the doors open, lights off, that sort of thing. Needless to say, the kids were incredibly excited for the outside T-shirt signing session, where they basically got to act as little celebrities and write messages all over each other. It's kind of a common thing to happen in UK schools, isn't it? I think I've still got my old T-shirt.
Yeah, got mine somewhere.
Is covered in "You're a twat."
I think I threw mine away. I'm not one for sentiment, so.
Cold and collected.
Cold and collected, Jonathan.
It's building a big character on it.
So, Hannah was lightly sobbing at the idea of all these kids finally becoming teenagers and moving up to high school. They all seemed so innocent and young. But obviously that moment was broken very soon. when a girl came up to her and whispered, Miss, is there something rude on my back?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Much to Hannah's disbelief, there was something rude on her back. A small but not invisible penis. There you go, Luke. It wasn't invisible.
Oh, is this one?
Orange in colour, shy in stature, but undeniably a penis. She tried not to laugh. She kept herself very composed and sensible in this manner. And she asked who had drawn this. But of course, many an artist had been on her back. The culprit, not clear. What ensued was a mission to find the penis artist, a mission which was by no means an easy feat for herself and the other members of staff on the playground that afternoon. There were some culprits who were quickly thought about, but she wanted to make sure that she was thorough in her investigations and didn't pull anyone aside. She thought she'll remain pure and make sure that she kept, she didn't want to see that one particular student that she thought it might be. Until she realised that he was the only colour with that he was the only child with that stash of colours in his hand.
Right, I thought you were going on a completely different route then.
She won't. Obviously, we're not going to
email in again.
Obviously, we're not going to bring out names of children and things like that on the podcast, just to keep everyone excluded. So I'm not going to name the student. But all of the teachers were aware of this certain child. He's the one who's kind of always silly, bit of a class clown, bit of a joker, would often make comments, being a bit rude. But all in all, his heart was in the right place. I think Hannah has said that many of her stories include this child from her teaching days. But that day she did catch him red, or maybe orange-handed would be a better way of saying it, scrawling a tiny penis on another girl's back. She pulled the student aside and gave him a light scolding. But obviously with anything in that kind of sort of light, they kind of have to speak to parents. So at the end of the day, in the car park, the mother of the child kind of pulled up. Hannah explained the situation, and she wasn't expecting for Mom to go quite as bright red as she did. Hannah explained the situation, and Mom replied, "I am so sorry, miss. That will be our example. You see, my husband and I, we both work from home, and sometimes we get a little bit bored and leave these little doodles in our notes on the whiteboard or in each other's notepads for each other to see. But it's just a joke, I promise." Now, Hannah treasures this memory because it reminds her that even when whatever's happening in kind of her teaching world, teaching is an extremely difficult profession to be in. And, all of the people we come across, just, you have those days which are awful, but leave a smile on your face. But I mean, I'm not sure Hannah could have dealt with that situation any better than she actually did. I think she went down all the right prompts. So thank you, Hannah, for writing in today. That is,
yes. Hannah, that was a fantastic story. I absolutely love that. That was brilliant. Yeah. Oh God, I feel like I could so easily be those parents.
Such a weird thing to doodle, but such a classically easy thing to doodle at the same time.
Oh, thank you so much, Hannah. That was fantastic. Oh, lovely. Right. I think that's our first podcast recorded really nicely. Thank you. Right. We'll do the outro. We haven't got an outro, so we'll just say bye. Okay. Bye, everyone.
See you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.